Alright guys, in this video we are talking the rarest Starfield items. Items you can only get by breaking the game. We have secret weapons, secret clothes, and something even rarer at the end of the video. Now the first item that's almost impossible to get in Starfield is the flamethrower. This item was cut from the game by Bethesda at the very last minute. It was actually a weapon you could use in previous builds of the game, but for whatever reason it was taken out before the game officially launched. But there's a way you can get your hands on it. Now here's where I have to say something slightly disappointing, because the way you get your hands on it is through a mod, which means you will have to be playing on PC to be able to use the flamethrower. But if you are on PC, you can download the mod by user TankGirl444, which restores this previously cut weapon to the game in all of its glory. And what they've actually done here is really interesting, because they've looked through the game files and noticed an unfinished flamethrower model. It's just sat there in the game's files, unable to be used up until the arrival of this mod. This weapon didn't come with any textures, so TankGirl444 had to actually painstakingly hand paint it and basically finish the weapon off at the exact point it was abandoned by Bethesda. But they didn't stop there. The modder made the flamethrower fully customizable with extra skin options for the weapon that you can add on through an industrial workbench. If that wasn't enough, there are adjustable barrels too, one with cryo and one with corrosive. There's even a shield attachment you can use. This mod is a great way to see one Starfield weapon you were very nearly able to wield if the devs just had a bit more time. I mean, it might be a time thing. It's not really known why the flamethrower was axed in the final game. Maybe the devs just ran out of time, or maybe they didn't like the gameplay balance of it. But I'm actually going to go ahead with the second option. Like, imagine how hard it is to make a fire system that behaves realistically on the ground, then take that same fire system and simulate it in zero G. I mean, saying all that, I'm actually amazed they made it as far as making an actual model. Okay, another weapon Starfield cut, but one you can get your hands on, is the modified AK. This is a variation of the AK rifle that had a very different kind of stock on it. This stock is called an underfolder stock, and it's another weapon someone found by rooting around in the game files. So this weapon was actually in the game but was removed shortly before launch. So shortly, in fact, that evidence of it is still in the game files. But it is now restored with a mod. This mod by Sabbath7991 replaces the AK grip meshes with the old one, the one that it was before launch, and that includes the underfolder stock. It's even kind of interactive as well, and by that I mean it works differently with different grips. So the regular and ergonomic grips have the stock folded one, and the tactical grip has the unfolded one. Now, if you're not into guns, this may sound slightly confusing and not really as important as the flamethrower, but if the idea of different stocks sets your teeth chattering in furious excitement, this is a great little find. A variation of the AK that will have you feeling A-OK. Very sorry about that one. Okay, moving away from guns, let's talk rare outfits. And one of the rarest is the outfit worn by Mae Divine, otherwise known as the owner of the Red Mile. Now, Starfield has a noticeable lack of good outfits for female characters, and if you're playing as a woman in this game, there really aren't a lot of good clothes you can dress them with, which makes Mae's dress stand out all the more. So how do you get your hands on it? Well, usually you would just take out the NPC and then steal their clothes. This is a Bethesda game after all, but annoyingly Mae is an essential NPC. You need her to complete essential quests, so that means you can't eliminate her to loot the dress. You also can't pickpocket it off her in any way, so there's only one way you can nab it, and that is with console commands. This is a video all about breaking the game in order to access rare items, after all, and this is another case of doing just that. You cannot get this through conventional means, so you will be using the console. To give yourself Mae's dress, open the console and paste this into the box, exactly as you see here. This will give you Mae's dress, and like all clothes in Starfield, you can wear this regardless of gender. Sadly, there is no known way for console players to acquire this particular outfit, but for PC players, players, at least it gives you a way to actually wear something stylish and feminine that doesn't resemble a potato sack. Style is the only reason you would want to wear this, though. It doesn't exactly have any gameplay benefits and it doesn't have any buffs, with just 10 physical protection to speak of, which, to be honest, is actually more protection than I think a satin evening gown should realistically have. And for some reason it has a plus 5% O2 recovery stat, which I can't really explain, besides the fact that the material is probably very breathable. We will continue on with hard to obtain Starfield clothes, and these are the outfits found in the city of Neon. Now, Neon has some of the best outfits in the entire game, with futuristic cuts and really shiny cyberpunky textures that a lot of players would love to get their hands on. Honestly, like, these citizens put the ones in New Atlantis to absolute shame. Those guys suck. But most of the clothes in Neon are impossible to get without cracking the game wide open. And by that I mean using either mods or console commands. That seems to be especially true in Neon more than other outposts in Starfield. Like, you can find and wear loads of clothes from the NPCs in Aquila, and with Paradiso, for another example, you can even get your hands on the swimming trunks that people are wearing. So there are loads of NPC outfits you can take for yourself in Starfield, but for some reason the Neon outfits are just a very closely guarded secret. You are not allowed to wear them. And to be fair to Bethesda, I don't think it's them just being needlessly restrictive. It might just be down to how the game is coded and how NPCs are generated. I am kind of boiling it down here a bit, but most NPCs in this game are individuals and are generated NPC by NPC. But in more built up areas, NPCs are generated as a single crowd. This crowd consists of much more simplistic NPCs, so the clothes they're wearing aren't clothing items, but are instead directly part of their character models. You can't separate them from their clothes because, according to the game, they are the same thing. There's not a lot of interaction to have with these more simplistic NPCs, or in other terms, if an NPC has a specific role like a vendor or a security guard, you can usually steal their clothes. If they are a generic citizen with no specific role, you can't. That's why you have to use mods. One mod lets you get your hands on the previously NPC only item called the Neon Catsuit, which is a black leather catsuit with a sort of beige canvas jacket over the top. Very, very nice. Another is the Neon Jumpsuit, a sort of more functional workmanlike outfit that you would usually see worn by someone working at some sort of spaceport. Although there are optional mods to jazz this particular item up if you're going on a night out. There's also a mod to give yourself access to the cap worn by one NPC in particular, the DJ at the club in Neon. I mean, it's not really fair that they have exclusive access to these clothes. You should totally be allowed to wear them yourself, and with these mods, now you can. But we cannot let PC players have all the fun. There is actually a way for console players to loot rare NPC clothes, and that's by using the Manipulate skill. Well, this is what some console players have been using. It doesn't work all of the time, but basically all you have to do is, for step 1, take out an NPC who's got the clothes you want. Then manipulate a nearby NPC and get them to loot the body. They will then be able to loot all the items from the recently deceased NPC. Now you can take out that NPC and steal both of their clothes. That's the set of clothes they stole from the body and their own clothes. 2 sets of clothes. At least that is the theory, but I have to say, for me, it doesn't always work. I just get an error message preventing me from sending the second NPC to loot the first. It could be that it just doesn't work on certain NPCs no matter what you do, but lots of players have said this method does work, so maybe I'm doing something wrong, and if so, this is a great little technique to getting your hands on some more difficult to get NPC outfits. And finally, we move on from outfits to a piece of content that might be the biggest thing to be cut from Starfield in the entire game. This is the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now let me just clarify, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is indeed in the game. As you can see, it's not been cut, but the book associated with it is indeed missing. And if you've done the book quests, you'll know that books basically reveal locations of old Earth landmarks. So without a book, landmarks are virtually impossible to find. There are books in the game revealing the locations of the Shard, for instance, as well as the location of the Empire State Building. The book that's meant to direct you to the Leaning Tower of Pisa was cut, however, meaning the iconic Italian landmark was originally not thought to be in the game, until one player managed to find it by guessing its location using the map. They just looked at the planet Earth, landed in Italy, and somehow found the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It was there all along. Despite there not being a book to direct you to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you can still find it. And you can find it by typing in the following command into the console dialog box. There's also a snow globe you can collect at the base of the site, as with other landmarks. And that's not the only secret snow globe in Starfield. There's actually a hidden NASA one that's unobtainable through normal gameplay. Snow globes, as you might be aware, are little trinkets you can find at old Earth landmarks, and they basically serve as little medals to remind you of your adventures. Nice little medals you can keep on a shelf and look at in your base, or you can do what I do and just have them in the black void of your inventory to be seen and appreciated by no one. But the hidden NASA snow globe is one you can add to your collection by typing in the following console command. This snow globe shows off the International Space Station together with the NASA logo, and the fact that it's there suggests Bethesda originally had the actual ISS space station in the game, but it was cut due to whatever reason, likely time constraints. With the size of other space stations in the game, you can't really imagine they ran into problems trying to build what would have been the smallest space station in the game. So yeah, it was probably time constraints, which was the reason it was cut. Before, those are the super rare items in Starfield you can only get by breaking the game. Thanks for watching once again. Leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, and for more Starfield guides, subscribe to the channel.